Hey guys, Matt here. Broken Supercoach checking in Monday morning. Just going to go through the teams that we've got. We'll go through the how the team went um, with a round 18 quick brief look. 25-76 this week. Obviously happy with that. That's a very good score. We've come 622, and if you've been a viewer of the channel, you've seen that we've had some pretty impressive weeks, and this is another very good week. And that's put us up another 825, leading us to 1,314 for the season, which is really good, miraculous, really miraculous. When we were sitting, 20,000 pretty early on, didn't look like we could claw our way up. To get to 1,314 is really nice, and this is where the grind starts to really get tough. We've got to start getting some players scoring. We might even make a move because we're going to take a look at the top 1K here. We're going to take a crack at it at least. So let's jump into the team and see why that happened. And I think anyone who knows the channel will know how I got that. We'll go through the lines, but we've got to stop to talk about this man, Nick Dacos. Look, do I like the father-son rule? In theory, I really like it. It's cool. It's great to see a kid whose dad played. Play. I think it is a good thing about footy. I also think it's terrible when it comes to the equalization of the competition. And anyone who says otherwise is fooling themselves. So that's my take on father-son before we get into the absolute praise that Nick Dacos is going to get. But you can't be serious about an equal league and then have a rule like father-son in there. If you look at other competitions around the world, you can't have that. Imagine if there was father-son in, traditional, soccer, football. Can you imagine if there was father-son in that? Like, come on now. Or the NBA. Imagine if Steph Curry just had to play for the Charlotte Hornets because that's where his dad played. Like, no other team could pick him, even though he wasn't the clear number one pick like Dacos was. There's no example like Nick Dacos, or even Sean Darcy, who hasn't played yet, hasn't really had much of a run yet. There's no example like Nick Dacos in any other sport because no other sport's stupid enough to do something like that. You take a team who, they were they were extremely poor last year, but they really weren't they traded away the pick. Now, if they had traded, they probably wouldn't have got him, in fairness. But it is what it is. I'm not going to rant about that anymore. Nick Dacos, this kid is unbelievable. He might be, this is going to sound crazy, but if he's a defender next year, which he will be a must-have, potentially for his entire career. And I know we said that about Walsh, where it was like, oh, must-have Walsh. But Walsh now, look, he's still, because he's mid-only, I don't have him. He's a very nice player to have, but no one really considered taking Walsh last year. And it's kind of maybe towards the end. Nick Dacos, I'll have him every week of the season this year, and I reckon I'll start him next year if he keeps putting out scores like this, which is insane. When you think about that, I might have this kid in my Supercoach team for the rest of his career. Insane little stat. All right, that's enough about him. The guy's a man. It's not really, because the guy's a match winner. He's unbelievable to watch. The last since the bye, since before the bye, he's been immaculate. So, the fact that we held him is a real bit of luck. He's still obviously in 45% of teams, but that's meaningless. You can't look at that stat because there's a lot of people that just made a team. Dacos was in it, and they stopped playing. So, he is still in a couple of the top sides. Like, he's in a portion of the top sides. I think a lot of people sort of identified to grab him. If you traded Dacos, man, you'd be pretty filthy because defenders, there's nothing on. The good ones, Dawson, Hewitt, they're not scoring anymore. Stewart's obviously suspended. You got Sinclair and there's Dacos. Doherty doesn't drop good scores he drops a 90 every now and then. Short's been, I love seeing 100 out of Short, but he hasn't been great. Dacos is probably the best defender at the moment. Outside of like a Dale, who hasn't been great, who hasn't been that great all year, and Sinclair, the obvious one. Crazy, crazy stuff. Other things for concern, sort of Hewitt not scoring much is a bit of a concern. Um, but that's just a one-off. But he was very weak in the first half. Perhaps they were tagging him. I didn't really see it. Probably got a bit of a tag, then moved the tag to Cripps. West Coast, he obviously ripped up against them, so not too fussed there. Short scoring 100 is cool, and we're pretty happy with that. Um, you know, if he can just get hundreds to 90s for the rest of the year, we'll be all right. And now it becomes awkward because who do I start over Stewart and Short when he comes back? We've still got a couple of weeks on that to think about. 2 more weeks, or 1 week technically. If he starts scoring hundreds, we might need to think about something. And what we can do late in the year is perhaps just get rid of Cripps. But who for? I don't know. So we'll see what goes on there. But Short, he's returned the favour there. We've got 1 more week of him on field. We can obviously start looping him. I mean, Ware's playing, and that's the tricky part. So we can't even loop him. What did I do captain-wise? I should know I didn't do a trade last week. Obviously, the trade was going to be Saligo to Burgoyne. Burgoyne laid out. Porter a joke. When it comes to rookies this year, the guys in and out, you'd hate to have had a poor rookie this year, honestly. Even Hayes, Teagle, I've got one on the bench who's injured. They've just had a horror run. Not really a horror run, just a bad run with rookies. So, yeah, I kept Saligo, kept Oliver. Saligo on field. Hopefully Oliver's back. Hopefully he's not too bad. If you traded out Oliver, so be it. I don't mind if you traded out Oliver. Great call. If you needed one of the other premiums, if you didn't have Laird, somehow you didn't have Neil. Petrarca obviously benefited greatly from Oliver being out 140. Looked good. If you traded Oliver to Steele, another great pickup, and I think a lot did, which is a bit of a concern. Yeah, went up to 12%, so 2% of teams did that trade. That's going to show this week, isn't it? So no one's trading him this week. Yeah, so I don't mind if you traded Oliver. I hope that backfires for anyone who traded him, though. So he actually, somehow he went up despite playing. So I'm not sure what this means, but good. So we've got us. So yeah, we got Saligo here, who gave us a 62, which we're pretty happy with. I know a lot of people did Carmichael, who I think has got a pretty similar score as well. And I was thinking about Carmichael, but the trades are just too value for me. So Carmichael is defense forward. Mid forward. So it would have been handy to have him there just to give him the flexibility going forward to put him there. I was even thinking of doing Cooper Stevens to Carmichael just to have the flexibility of getting these guys, of getting someone here, or even Rosas, you know what I mean? Just to get the cash. But I think the trade's too valuable, and I'm not downgrading rookies with 3 trades to go. I'm only doing emergency trades or alarm bell trades. And I've been pretty consistent so far, so we're all right. But we might burn a trade here in round 19. With 4 playing rounds to go, we've got 3 trades. We may burn a trade this week, and I'll show you what it is, and I'm pretty happy with what it might be. So anyway, we'll go through the mids. Laird is an absolute freak. Broke the tackle record on the weekend. Most tackles by any player in AFL, 20. So that's how he gets 154. So I'd given the advice, go McRae into Laird as captain. You can't not take 128 from McRae, so I took it. And in the end, lost 30 points. But you have to take 128. That's just the curse. That said, I was pretty confident, and I nearly took Laird because his history against Collingwood is insane. He averages, it's not going to be high. Yeah, he averages 126 against Collingwood. And consider that he used to spend, that's his highest average of the teams that he's played. So it's his best team that he plays against. And consider that he spent a lot of his career playing in the back line. So massive scores he puts up against Collingwood. So all good. It was a good captain call. They're the 2. If you got stuck putting it on Neil, that's unlucky. And Petrarca just wasn't comfortable for me. So I wanted to. The other one I would have done was to vice Laird into Petrarca. That would have got me Laird's score. Um, but if Laird had dropped, say, a 100 and then I had missed McRae's 128, it's a big risk. Even though Oliver was out, it's a big risk to captain Petrarca. So if you had Gawn, maybe you're a bit more comfortable doing that. But Gawn hasn't been putting out captain scores either. I'm not sure actually what Gawn put out last week. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a cheeky peek. So what did Gawn end up? Oh, you can't see it from here. Rightio. We'll look in a minute. Just go like this. Gawn. So what if you had ran that? Yeah, you'd be extremely. That's an extremely risky play. Did he get injured? I actually didn't see the end of this game. What's happened here? Yeah, let us know. Is Gawn injured now? So what happened here? Gawn was back. Yeah, that's a July 13. Yeah. Well, that's a bit of a worry, isn't it? You're concerned if you're a Gawn owner. I'd be seriously worried about what happened there. So perhaps I'll follow that up. He's not getting traded out, so he's potentially not injured. I don't have him right. Yeah, I'll look that up. Somebody put in what happened to Gawn, because 50 is horrendous. I didn't see the game, so I didn't actually prepare myself for any. I just figured it was a stock standard sort of game. Yeah, so the other one is Cripps. Looked good in the first half. Not a huge amount of score, but he looked like he was on track for 100-ish and just vanished after half time. I think they ran a tag with him a little bit. They they just really got rid of him, and he comes up against his worst team. If you can trade Cripps, do it. And honestly, do it. Trade Cripps. I don't care what trade, unless it's your last trade, but you have to trade Cripps, honestly. And frustratingly, because I've only got 8,000, I actually don't really have a good trade to go for Cripps. There's not really anything that I can afford. Like, you're not going to go down to a Matheson. You're not going to do that. And I can't afford anyone else at 509 without making two trades. So, frustratingly, I don't have the option. If I send Cornelio up, if I send Cameron down, I still don't really have anyone in that number. 1K short for Blitzars, who I don't want. Goldstein, I'm short of by 11K, who I will bring in this week for Darcy Cameron. We'll talk about him in a tick. Yeah, I don't have it. So sadly, Cripps is just going to have to keep on with this rubbish. Now, what I'd love to do is find a way to get one of my defenders into this spot. So perhaps what we do late in once we start having a debate between Short these guys, perhaps we can try to get Short over there by trading out Cripps just to get some money. But that'll put us down to one trade, which is extremely worrying. So we're just going to keep bleeding points from Cripps, knowing that he's a regular under 100 score because he can't get premiums for us. What that means is that we're going to end up with a bit of awkwardness with Short on the bench for a week or two. And then as we start to get more comfortable, we will send Cripps out and just grab the highest point scorer in any line. And perhaps it's either get some cash for the final trade in the final round. Yeah, I don't know. Or just send him forward. So anyway, I'm stuck with him. But if you're not, get rid of him right now because he is just hovering. Like there's nothing good about what he's doing at the moment. Ruckline. So Cameron, was quiet. Got towed up by, again, a real ruckman in Riley O'Brien. You can't really look at these scores. Anyone who's played in 2022, you can. So Grundy was obviously playing here. Not great scores here. Essendon have a lot of tools, so he might be in trouble there. Wits is what it is. We're confident with what Wits is doing. Every now and then he seems to take the week off, whatever. Don't care. I didn't really talk much about Steele, who's been awesome, but whatever. And then the forward, so Bont really carried with 180. If you put the V on Bont, you'd be pumped about that. I just don't have confidence in Bont. If I'm going to put a V on any of my Dogs players, it's going to be McRae every time. He'd only gone 100 the last couple of weeks. Even though McRae looked like he was not dropping out some big scores in recent history, he'd done the same. McRae has that history where you think he'll drop a 120 in a win. So no big deal there. Libba, love him. Absolutely love Libba. I don't understand why he's not on more people's radar. People genuinely scroll past him. You watch other videos of like who's the best forwards, etc. When I picked him, obviously now he's starting to get attention, but when I picked him, people were scrolling past Libba as if he was irrelevant, like a Boak or someone like that. This man is unbelievable, and he did this last year too. He was actually very good last year. I think he's quite big in fantasy from what I know. If you look at, he had some do not plays or whatever, but he averaged 103 last year as well. He averaged, yeah. Averaged 103 last year, so you got to be pretty happy with that. That explains why Laird's averages 126, because I've looked at the wrong number there. Trust me when I say Laird has a high average against Collingwood. And now he's up to 108. So this guy is really good. We're really happy with that. And what's he got? Melbourne, which is his worst team. He's got Geelong, which is... apparently averages 120 against Melbourne, but he scored 50 against them at the start of the year. So all good. We'll take that as well. Any pressure teams, this is actually a really good run for him, except for Hawthorn, because any team where the tackle is valuable, he ends up scoring quite well. So, you get yourself Melbourne high contest team, so he should score quite highly. He's had a 170 against them in the past. Geelong, love a contest, 128 against them in the past. Low average, probably played a lot of games up forward for him. Fremantle, another team that loves a tackle. He'll probably go to Brayshaw, tackle him like mad. He's had a 196 in the past. GWS, same story. Different team nowadays. Bit concerned that he's had a 13 against them at one point. Probably got injured in that game. Same story here. Bit concerned he's had a 26. Probably in one of his first years. Played against them. Didn't do much on the forward line. But, has had some really good stuff. So, absolutely loving Libba. Brody seems to have dropped off, but everyone's got him. No one's trading him. Parker, same. Really concerned about Dunkley. He seems to have lost a lot of the forward status, but the mid-time, but whatever. Everyone's got him. No one's getting rid of him. So Dunkley is what it is. And then I've got no cover in the forward line at the moment, so we love that. So what am I doing this week? If I trade, which I really think I will, because this is my last chance. Here's the example. Darcy Cameron's a break even at 130. He's not getting that, which means he goes down to 500, and there's no one to go to if I wait any longer. Grundy back, perhaps this week, next week. What have we got on Grundy? Yeah, around 20. I don't want to risk the price of what Darcy Cameron's going to be by the time Grundy gets back. If that makes sense, I can't wait any longer, especially while he's dropping out some pretty average scores as well. Funnily enough, since he got his contract, he's actually eased off a little bit. So, they're playing decent footy. They're winning a bit more, so he doesn't have to do as much. So, I think if I'm going to trade Darcy Cameron, which I always planned on it, you can go back and watch the video, I always planned on having to trade Darcy Cameron. I think this is the week for it. And when you look at the prices of Ruckman compared to what Darcy Cameron's going to be and the money I've got in hand, I actually have no choice but to trade him this week. Short of getting a Rowan Marshall in or something really bad. Luke Jackson, something terrible. So it's an easy case of Todd Goldstein. Straight in. Still got 1,000 to do it, so this is the week to get Goldstein. Now, to quote a viewer, no Cherry all year, so if he'll play for the rest of the year. He's also forward status, so worst case scenario, I need to trade, if I trade Cripps, I can get another Ruckman in. If there is, let's just say there's another Ruckman coming through that I can afford when with Cripps, just say by some miracle, we can do that. Let's use an example of, say, Marshall starts scoring hundreds for the rest of the year, and I want to do Cripps in, say, 2 weeks' time. We can just side trade those. He's a forward, so he's a bad example, but I can send him down, bang, in the ruck lines we go. So let's just say there's another ruckman, say someone like Draper starts scoring hundreds for the next 3 weeks for whatever reason, and he looks good to finish our season out. Say that's an easy case of whatever. Let's just say Darcy, or say Riley O'Brien, who didn't score that highly, say he gets down to 500 and starts popping off again. Nank. He starts doing that. It gives us that option to do Cripps for a ruckman by sending a forward up and having Goldstein. So great. Goldstein in. I think that's the trade I'm going to do. How did he look without Cherry last couple of weeks? We love that. Outside of this 50, we absolutely love all these. Even with Cherry around or with ruck help, he's always looked good. This is when Cherry was sort of the main ruck. So we're loving that. Goldie, beautiful. Darcy Cameron, thanks for your service. Absolute ripper. He was instrumental. Darcy Cameron has been instrumental in my rise back to the top 2,000, we'll say, because we're not in the top 1,000 now. Another real nice pot in Goldstein. That's the team. Who are we captaining this week? North aren't playing anyone good. West Coast, we've got Steele, the late captain, and we're not really confident in anyone from Sydney doing it. So let's just stick with the old faithful. I don't think Laird's a very good choice. What's his? Yeah, I don't think we're comfortable with that. I think we're going to have to throw McRae. What's he do against Melbourne? Yes. Vice McRae into Steele on the Sunday. Late captaincy looks. Pray that Cripps just maintains his 500. Maybe if he can come good, that'll be really nice of him. Hopefully we don't miss anyone. If you have Cripps, trade him out. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.